Chapter 7, Supporting the Single Parent. Fight the urge to flee, fix, and farm out. Next time you put on a dinner, don't just invite friends. Invite those who can't return the favor. Luke 14, 12 through 14, the message. Knowing what you know is just one step in this adventure of being a single parent. It's a gift we can offer other single parents by validating them and supporting them. The single parent has many challenges, and the biggest one is learning to trust themselves and know what they know. So how can others support the single parent? The most important thing in supporting a single parent is to believe in them and believe for them. Believe they will make it. Pity will destroy your relationship with them. Validation will strengthen it. Try not to let your fears overshadow your relationship with a single parent. We, single parents, thrive when friends and family remind us we are amazing and we are doing well and that you are proud of us. We're able to let go of difficult things when we feel validated. We are pioneers just trying to make our way. Actually, there are many who have gone before us, and we want to hear their stories. My great-grandmother was a single mom. Oh, how I wish I had her journals. How did she make it way back then? What was it like? I could have learned so much from her. If you've ever taken a CPR course, you learn there is a way to do CPR. We practice on the Annie doll, Recessa Annie. We practice talking aloud to see if she's alert, checking for a pulse, tipping her head back. Get your sanitized tissue and breathe into her. Feel for any breathing coming out, and then you pump on her chest to get her heart pumping. No matter how hard we try, we cannot resuscitate Annie. She's a mannequin. We are not. And if you use the correct procedures, you can resuscitate the single parent. You can't resuscitate a person without breathing into them. It's the same with the single parent. If you advise, shame, or doubt them, they will not breathe. Encouragement is the breath of life. Pushing on the chest to start the heart is the equivalent of believing in them. Sometimes once you have effectively resuscitated someone, especially if they were in water and have swallowed some, they may throw up on you a little. That's just how it works. Be a good listener who offers no advice unless asked. Just listen to us, hear our hearts, ask the questions like, how can I support you? Or even tell us what you're able to do. The hardest thing for us is asking for help. It's a lot easier to ask when you have let us know how you can help. Sometimes we're sad, having a bad day or struggling with how in the world we'll raise our children, and we just need to vent. Sometimes our despair makes you want to rescue us or fix us. Just listen and hear. You can offer suggestions with permission like, may I make a suggestion? You can offer services. I could babysit, or I could drive you, pick up the kids. Don't let our despair overwhelm you. Model for us how to do this, because there will come a time when our children's frustration will overwhelm us, and we'll have to listen, hear, validate, and not drown in their despair. A friend of mine lost her job. It's a very tough economy, and the loss of a job was pretty devastating. When she finally told her sister, rather than compassion and concern, her sister immediately began ordering her to look for a job 6 hours every day, various other tips. She let my friend know that she shouldn't count on her help. My friend said, silly me, I was just looking for a little validation. I thought maybe you would be upset for me, not at me. I know every situation is different, and I know that when a single parent runs into huge challenges, it's scary for everyone. Fight the urge to fix and find a way to validate and sympathize. We will get through it. Help us believe in ourselves and fight the doom and gloom. We probably already know all the tips. Get up daily, look for a job like it is your job. All of that, well, it's just common sense. So believe we have the brains in our heads and brainstorm with us and encourage us. Can you keep a stiff upper lip for us? Remind us what you know about us. We are creative, resourceful, talented, skilled, etc. Show us it is going to be okay. Walk with us, take us to coffee, spend some time. Time is something we don't have much of, so doing projects together is a great way to kill several birds with one stone. We have things that need to be done around the house, so hammer, paint, or vacuum side by side with us. Be a friend. Stick up for us when you hear family or friends talk about us behind our backs. When others suggest they know better what's good for us, be our advocate. You can do that well when you've listened to us and you know our hearts. Believe in us even if you don't agree with us. Find a way to believe in us. You may want us to do something, anything. Move, take a different job, economize. Perhaps you truly believe we're making mistakes, and if we'd only listen to you, things would be a whole lot better. But remember, the single parent is an adult who takes her responsibilities seriously. By trying to force her, or even worse, shame her into doing it our way, creates a barrier between us and causes us to close up and say, see, I really am alone. By supporting us and believing in us, we're able to relax and take a short break from pure survival mode and just maybe look at things a little differently. Let us make our own decisions and use validation to help us. Sometimes you want us to do things because it is easier for you. Maybe we make choices to be farther away or work difficult hours, and you're thinking, how in the world can I help when they're making it so difficult? Well, do what you can do. Have your own boundaries. Be clear with us about what you are able to do and how something may be difficult for you. Maybe you will have to tell us you will only be able to babysit 3 days rather than 5, or not at all because of the distance. We love you too, so take care of yourself. When you overdo it or feel taken advantage of, we sense your frustration. Believe me, I would rather do it myself than be helped begrudgingly. Look for a win-win, but it's not your job to make our lives better. Some of us may try to make you feel guilty, and we might actually succeed for a while, but we need you to model self-care and boundaries so we'll be able to model it for our kids and take care of ourselves. Believe in us and hold us big. By hold us big, I mean be honest with us and believe we can handle disappointment or a no. Let us struggle because that's when we grow and gain strength. Remember, single parents are doing amazing things all over the world. Help us be great by believing in us. Remind us of our strengths by giving us positive messages like, what I know about you is you never give up, you're too stubborn, you're a great mom. Remind us of our greatness because we've actually forgotten. Survival keeps us from our creativity, and sometimes we have to be in survival mode because of our circumstances. When my kid's dad left, I went to the welfare office, but they wouldn't help me because I said I couldn't leave my kids, so I would be searching for a way to work at home to be with them. They wanted proof I was trying for a real job. I know my friends and family were thinking I had finally lost my marbles, but they didn't challenge me. Some suggested jobs and ideas, and I know it was hard for them. I knew my kids and how much they'd already suffered by having Dad move out. I knew in my heart of hearts now was not the time to leave them. I was also pretty doubtful I could support them on what I could make in a stay-at-home, ground-level new business. I was stubborn enough to believe I could work it out. Was that insanity? Well, possibly, but I believed something would work out, and it did. Remember the camper where I got to work in the camp kitchen? Well, the kids were able to have the run of the camp, and I was taken care of in an unbelievable way. My miracle showed up. I had my doubts, but first I had to believe I would find a way to be with my amazing, wonderful children, and it paid off. Thank you for believing in me, or at least not forcing me to work at that time. Your faith in me was a gift, and I'm so grateful. When I became needy, a divorced mother of 3 with no job, the first thing to go was dignity and choice. I had to ask for help, and some people assume if they help you, they can control you. Isn't that ridiculous? But they often do. And that's why I was struggling with asking for help. If you help me, then I'll have to do something in return, and my plate is already full. I'm maxed out. I once saw a great saying on a sign at a store that carried a double message. When does caring become control? I took the less obvious meaning, do we know when it does become control? What seems like caring to you can be confusing, and it can cause a single parent not to ask for help because it is not worth the price. Don't be mistaken. We want the help. We want to give back, but we don't want to be controlled. And if you want to give us something in return, ask. Don't just tell us. Ask if what you have to offer is what we need, and if it comes with terms, be upfront. As hard as this is to say, and I must say it, I must stand up for my fellow single parents. Don't give us junk unless we ask for it. Don't give us clothes that are so threadbare you wouldn't wear them. Don't give us couches that smell like pee. We can't afford to get rid of them or pay for the dump. Unless we're mechanics or ask for a car that doesn't work, don't give us money pit cars. We don't have the time or money to fix them, and we can't afford to have them towed every time they break down. Don't give us outdated food or the less desirable part of the broccoli floret just because you won't eat it. Think about our dignity. I've been in many meetings of people and services who help the poor, and I have heard comments I can't even repeat. We all have BS about being poor, and when I say BS, I mean belief system. What's yours? Beggars can't be choosers. Are poor people poor because they don't make good choices? According to whom? How many stories of poverty do you base that on? Or how about this oldie but goodie? Once we help them, they'll expect more. That was the farthest thing from the truth in my case. A single parent is grateful for, yet embarrassed by the help. Most likely she's doing everything in her power to be self-sufficient and even trying to help others. Many of us need lessons in receiving because we know it's more blessed to give than receive, and we would love to be on the other end of charity. Treat us with dignity. I remember finally moving from the camper into a house. We had no furniture. I had given everything away when we moved. My friend Sue called and she said, "I found you a bed at the thrift." I was leery, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? When I met with her, she said, "I would never get you a bed from the thrift, but it was still in plastic and it was in someone's guest room. It had barely been used." Sue knew how to help while preserving my dignity. Just remember, as much as you want to help us, it is hard for us to admit we need help, so we may not initially share your excitement. Give us choices. I have a couch. Would you like it? Come look at it and see. Just because we're needy doesn't mean we don't want our living room furniture to match. If you want to buy us groceries, ask what we can use or get a gift card. Kids love macaroni and cheese, right? Well, not mine. So we had boxes and boxes of macaroni and cheese because they were inexpensive and people would buy them for us. Also, inexpensive food, well, it isn't the healthiest. Anonymous donations are nice, but sometimes people have a hard time accepting things when they don't know where they came from, especially food. Has it been tampered with? One Christmas, a woman wanted to take me and my kids grocery shopping at Costco. She wanted us to go with her so she could see our happy faces while she was buying much-needed food. I couldn't work it out for all of us to go, and it never ended up happening. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but I'm just saying how difficult it is for us, and hope you will try to understand. I know I've appreciated all the help I've received, and I don't know where I'd be without the kindness of others. We're in an economy where more people need help. It's hard to accept help, to feel helpless, and to feel hopeless. When someone helps out, lends a hand, treats me with dignity, it's a wonderful gift. Help out if you want to, but don't do it to get praise for being such a sensitive person. You may not get gratitude. You may get a frustrated thanks because we hate being needy. Having choices is important and helpful. I remember a woman I was shopping with at the Christmas house, a shop where needy folks can get Christmas gifts for their kids. When she met up with me, she apologized for being late and said I had to park down the road. Well, I was surprised because there was plenty of parking, but she said, "I have a fairly new car and I need a dependable car for work, but I was afraid people would see it and think I didn't really need the help." I could relate because when my husband left me for a man, I needed something to help me feel feminine. A friend offered to pay for me to get my nails done and keep them up. I accepted and later was told that some people in my church were concerned maybe I didn't need help after all because I seemed to be doing well enough to have my nails done. I stopped getting them done. I would have loved to continue, but I felt if I was receiving help and people thought I didn't have my priorities straight, that I would be judged. I was pretty fragile, and I didn't want people thinking badly of me. If one person voiced that, how many were thinking it? I grew up in a small community where we attended Sunday school. There was a couple across the lagoon from us who picked us up along with other neighbors' kids every Sunday morning and took us all to Sunday school. My sister and I went faithfully. I then went on to Bible college and then to get into radio. My first jobs in radio were at Christian stations, but then I was offered a job at contemporary hit radio station KIYS in Boise. I was the morning news and traffic person, and I went to a Christian singles retreat the weekend before I started, and if anyone asked what I did, I told them I worked in radio and I was starting at the #1 station in Boise the next week. Some people were really upset, and they voiced that I should stay at the Christian station. I didn't tell them I'd been fired and that the boss told me I would never make it in radio. Fast forward past getting married, working with youth, attending Bible study and church, past the divorce, the second marriage with big plans to be missionaries once the kids were grown, to being divorced twice. Suddenly, I didn't fit in at church. Though church is supposed to be a place where you should come as you are, Sundays became very difficult. And when the announcements promoted a dinner for 8 event, I thought, why not 7? I felt people at church didn't know what to do with me. The November after my second divorce, the person doing morning announcements said, "This month, we're foregoing our potluck dinner. We're encouraging everyone to reach out to someone who is in need and help them out. Take them to a meal or invite them over for Thanksgiving." I thought to myself, finally, someone here will reach out to me and give me a call and see how I'm doing. But no one did. The local Catholic church and the Family Resource Center gave us a food basket and signed us up for Christmas services. Those were the low times, and no one in my church seemed to know. I didn't go around talking about my struggles, but there were only a couple of people who were interested in me and my life. One lady whom I had known since we were teenagers always asked how I was, and I felt safe sharing with her. If people would ask how I was, I would tell them good things that were going on. I didn't want to complain, so I think I gave the impression everything was fine, but I longed to connect with people at my church. I wasn't able to go to Bible studies because I couldn't leave my kids with babysitters. They would say, "Oh, just leave them or they'll be fine." But I knew from experience that I would get a call and have to come back and get them. Then we all felt bad. Well, that wasn't good. This is a form of denial, just ignoring our reality with, "It will be fine." I went back to Bible college to get my degree in social services, and I thought I could get a better job if I had a BS behind my name. No pun intended. I didn't want to tell people I was divorced, let alone twice. So I didn't. And the crazy thing was, no one really asked. People weren't really interested in my life. I'm a connector, so I was interested in others. I knew how many kids they had, and if they were married, I knew what their internships were, and whatever I could learn about them because I was curious. But I was worried I would have to come up with a big distraction to avoid telling my big dark secret, and I didn't have to at all. I discovered that this is true, well, almost everywhere. People aren't curious. They don't ask. A coworker of mine was planning to go to a meetup event, and she told me she was going to say she worked for a fictitious company doing data entry. I asked her why, and she said, well, she was concerned that if she said she worked in radio, that people might make a big deal out of it. Well, there is that concern when you work in the media, that you might get stalked. But I suggested she go for it. Tell them what she did, and the chances are no one would even ask what station. The next time we worked together, she told me the story of the meetup group and how she said she worked in radio, and no one was even interested. She said they didn't even ask what station or what time she was on the air. I long to be involved in church and fit in, but there is a part of me that doesn't want to deal with the pain of rejection and judgment. I don't want to be that divorced lady. I don't mind being that single mom. I just want community friendship. I remember wanting to be connected with my church, and after the second divorce, I just went to church and no one seemed interested in me. In fact, I wondered if some church friends even knew I had kids because they were with their dad on Sundays. Yet the Family Resource Center and the Single Moms Network knew all about me and loved me. They called me for advice and to vent their struggles. They weren't afraid of me because I was divorced. They never told me I didn't try hard enough, should have sought more godly advice before marrying, which I actually did, or that I made bad choices. They just accepted and loved me. It was really wonderful, and I wanted my church to be my community, but in actuality, my community became my church. I've heard there are churches that have programs to help single moms, and I think that's wonderful news. If churches don't know how to help us, it's hard to be the one to tell them how to help. But if they're open to it, let your needs be known and see where they can help. Maybe you will be the one to start a program in your church. Maybe find a church that's known for helping out single parents. The church can't do it all, and that's why I'm an advocate for church and community work together to help single parents. If you have a single parent in your life, it's a great opportunity for you to grow and learn. Believe in us and believe us. Do your best to keep our dignity intact and don't pawn us off on others. Help us or not, we'll figure it out. Validate us and remember, let us have choices. Don't torment us because you're concerned. We have to do what we believe is right for our family. We may even come around to seeing it your way if we feel we have a choice. There's so much pressure on single parents to make daily choices and hard choices. Making choices and decisions is exhausting, and there seems to be no one to share the burden. What should I do about a sick animal or a lost job or a mean boss, a broken car, or a broken heart? There are times when you will want to avoid single parents. Their needs seem so great and the situation seems so bleak. Just remember, you don't have to flee from us or avoid us. Check in, validate, encourage. That's enough. I'm not saying we're perfect and we all make the right choices. I'm just saying it's tough and lonely, and when our friends and family become advice givers rather than supporting us, we start to isolate and back away from the ones we need the most. Some of us take an attitude of, I'll show them. It's a kind of passive aggression. It's like saying, I'll not let anyone know my needs for fear there will be strings attached if someone chooses to help out. So we just resolve to go it alone. I can take advice from my friends and family when I'm totally convinced they love me and believe in me. It sounds really shallow when I'm writing it, but the truth is, I think any of us can hear advice best from someone we know totally accepts us. That happens when we feel validated, heard, supported. Probably 95% of the time, it isn't advice we want. We know what to do. We just want to be heard and feel like we're not alone. Fight the urge to flee, fix, and farm out. Fight the urge to flee, ignore, and avoid. Fight the urge to fix and fight the urge to farm out what you cannot do for us. Do what you can do and don't guilt others into helping. We all have our own convictions of how and where we help or give money. Something we may be passionate about may not be ringing someone else's bell. So if you force or guilt them into helping us, it's not a pretty picture. I know you feel desperate and you want to help. This is a chance for you to discover what you believe about faith. You will get through this. So will we. This too shall pass. Just wondering, how have you supported the single parent in your life? Is there something different that you might try now? What is it like to not be able to help? Have you had to say no in the past to a single friend or parent? How did their situation work out? What is your role in their life? What can you do to honor their choices when you don't agree with them? Has this happened to you before? What are ways you have encouraged the single parent in your life? What are the ways that you've validated them?